Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that most people tiptoe around, a forbidden truth about love that might just change everything you thought you knew. We're talking about why we keep falling for the wrong person. And trust me, it's not what you think. Now, here's a truth nobody wants to hear, but it's crucial. You keep falling for the wrong person. And it's not because you're unlucky. It's not because love itself is broken. It's because, deep down, you didn't fully understand the rules of the game you were playing. Think about it. We're taught from a young age to chase butterflies, right? To believe that intense spark means destiny. To imagine that love is this magical force that swoops in and rescues you from yourself or your circumstances. And so, we launch ourselves into relationships, thinking we're diving into this beautiful, radiant light, only to wake up one day and realize you're actually crawling into something that feels a lot like darkness. It's a jarring realization, isn't it? That the fairy tale you were promised turned into something far less enchanting. Maybe you met them in a bustling bar, or perhaps you swiped right at midnight, caught up in the thrill of endless possibilities. Maybe you just liked their Instagram photos until your heart started doing flip-flops. And in those initial moments, it felt undeniably right. Why? Because it offered you relief. It gave you this surge of hope. It made you feel seen, truly seen, perhaps for the first time in a long time. But then, a quiet whisper or a tiny voice in your head suggested something wasn't quite adding up. You started noticing those little red flags, those subtle warnings. But what did you do? You ignored them. You whispered those warnings away, silencing the doubt. Why? Because you desperately believed, this time, it will be different. Yet, that tiny voice, that gut feeling, was still there, now whispering louder, I deserve better. But you silenced it, didn't you? The mistake, my friends, begins right there. It begins when we confuse intensity with safety, when the adrenaline rush of uncertainty, the roller coaster of ups and downs, becomes our nightly fix. We start to crave that drama, mistaking it for passion, and then, we look at our reflection in their eyes, and what we see isn't truly about who we are, but rather an escape from who we fear we might be. It becomes more about running away from ourselves than finding our truth. And this brings us to the forbidden truth, the one that is hardest to swallow. You don't fall for the wrong person by accident. You actually choose them. Yes, you heard that right. You pick them, not because there's some perfect ideal, far from it, but because, deep down, you're intimately familiar with imperfection. You choose someone who, in a strange and often painful way, mirrors your own unaddressed wounds. Someone who seems to have a secret key to unlock your old pain, to tap into those very vulnerabilities you thought you had buried. You pick them because they don't demand that you change, that you grow, that you evolve. Instead, they subtly demand that you numb. They allow you to stay comfortably, or uncomfortably, stuck in a pattern that feels known even if it hurts. They don't challenge you to confront your discomfort. They offer a temporary distraction from it. Now, if you think this is just me making assumptions, research actually backs this up. Studies show that people who repeatedly fall for the wrong partner often share one powerful, underlying characteristic: unresolved self-beliefs. They don't believe they are truly worthy of calm, of the peace, of a love that feels gentle and stable. They don't believe they can genuinely choose safety, because deep down, they don't feel worthy of it. And so, what do? They choose chaos. Why? Because at least chaos feels like something. It's a familiar storm, a predictable turbulence, and sometimes, that feels more real than the quiet strength of true peace. And then, just like all good things that aren't actually good, the honeymoon phase ends. The late-night texts slow to a trickle. The initial excitement dims, fading like a forgotten dream. That voice you once loved, the one that promised everything, slowly morphs into a soundtrack of doubt, a constant hum of uncertainty. You start to wonder, why was I ever so sure? What was I even thinking? The same fights erupt, the same patterns resurface, and the same heartbreaking reality begins to set in. Finally, the moment hits. That gut-wrenching realization, you're not with someone who completes you. Instead, you're with someone who confirms your deepest, most painful fear that you are in some fundamental way incomplete. You cry when the lights go off, alone in the quiet, because you finally accept that the person you thought you were with, the version you loved, isn't coming back. You replay every promise, every whispered lie, every single moment you consciously ignored your gut instincts. And in that raw, vulnerable space, you feel this surge of anger. You hate them for what they did. And then, that anger turns inward. You hate yourself for letting it happen, for staying, for enduring. Because love, true love, shouldn't feel like ashes. It shouldn't leave you feeling burnt and desolate. But here's where light, true, hopeful light, finally breaks through the darkness. The real turning point isn't when they leave your life. Oh no, it's when you stop leaving them and instead, you start leaving who you used to be. You stand in front of that mirror, look yourself straight in the eye, and you declare, I will not settle. Not anymore. Because you've felt the fire, you've walked through the ashes, picked up the pieces, and endured the pain. And now, armed with that hard-won wisdom, you finally know what safe truly looks like. You understand that compatibility isn't just about matching highs, those fleeting moments of intense joy. It's about matching hearts that can genuinely rest together. Hearts that feel a profound sense of peace and security. You learn to distinguish between the thrill that ultimately poisons you and the deep, sustaining peace that nourishes your soul. And with this new clarity, you finally grasp the profound truth. The wrong person wasn't just them. It was actually your own version of love, a version that simply didn't know better. So, here's your final truth, the one they never tell you in the movies or the romance novels. Your next relationship isn't about desperately trying to find someone who will rescue you. It's about choosing someone who stands unequivocally with you, someone who is a true partner, an equal, a supportive force. And even more profoundly, it's about finally being the person you deserved all along. The whole, complete, self-aware individual who knows their worth. You walk into a room differently now, your head held higher, your shoulders back. You refuse to dim your voice, your light, or your essence for the sake of someone else's comfort. You refuse to cling to chaos, to drama, or to an unhealthy dynamic just for the sake of having company. Instead, you choose the person who shows up, authentically and consistently, not just for today, not just for the good times, but for the long haul, for all of life's complexities. In essence, you choose you. If you've ever loved the wrong person, if you've ever felt that sting of heartbreak and confusion, please understand this. You are not broken. You were simply playing by the wrong rules, following a script that wasn't written for your true happiness. It's time to change those rules. It's time to rewrite your story. And when the next right person stands in front of you, you won't just be waiting for them. You'll already know that you've been waiting for yourself, and you'll be ready to welcome a love that truly honors you. If this resonated with you, if it sparks something deep inside, please consider subscribing for more forbidden truths about love. Because remembering, well, it isn't just what you hope it is. It's ultimately what you choose it to be. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.